So I had a great conversation with a candidate, and they said, "I'm really sure, and I want to bet on myself." And that really struck me as such a strong thing to say. I wondered what other attributes you would look for in a franchisee that wants to bet on themselves.
Track record is really quite useful, isn't it? If someone has gone off and had lots of businesses and then says, I want to bet on myself, great. It's very funny, actually, because when I was starting Walfinch, prior to that, I had this very successful care business. I was off working like 3 days a week. My wife and I didn't have any kids, and so we'd go off on holiday to 4 weeks a month, 4 weeks a year in a slot, and it was great fun. And I said to my wife, I said, I'm going to sell this business and I'm going to start a franchising business. My wife is very supportive and knows that she's married an entrepreneur, and there's some excitement that goes with that, and she's very tactful. So she sort of said to me, so who's going to buy the first franchise? And I said, well, somebody is. I'm willing to kind of do this. I'm willing to bet myself and do this. And that self-belief is a really important thing, because when there's nothing else, there's the self-belief. And if you don't have that self-belief at the beginning, regardless of whether you're buying a franchise or an existing business or whatever that might be, you're going to find it much harder. So I think having that sort of self-belief within reason is really useful. But at the same time, it needs to be somebody that is willing to listen to good quality support and work as a team. I think when you're working within a franchise, being in a franchise is being in business for yourself, but not by yourself. So it's really saying, am I willing to work with the rest of this support team? Am I willing to kind of operate with everybody here and listen to the advice that I'm getting? And what I've often found is some very successful franchisees hear it, do it, run. Others may never, and that's in every network, from McDonald's to us. But then there's those franchisees that you say the same thing, and I read somewhere that you need to say the same thing 9 different times in multiple different ways, because people consume information in a different way, or they're going through a different sort of mindset, and there's a different situation that's happened, and eventually they'll do that. But they might take... I've had situations where I've had someone that's taken 18 months to do this one thing that I've said to them, and then we've sent them a newsletter, then I've sent them a podcast, I've sent them a book, then a support person said the same thing, and then someone else somewhere said the same thing, and they think, oh, that's a good idea, and I'll do that now because that fits where I'm at right now. And so they've spent 18 months really slogging it because they didn't do X, and whatever X is. But then eventually they do that, and it takes a bit of trust building. So I think franchising is very much that bank account of trust, all that Dale Carnegie type stuff of really thinking it's all about, franchisor constantly doing the right thing and thinking about the franchisee's bottom line profitability, and the franchisee having that open relationship and saying, hey, I liked this, but I didn't like that. Can we talk about that? So it's really, I think being a good communicator within franchising is really important. Wonderful book actually that sums it all up is Profitable Partnerships by Greg Nathan. He's got a suite of books, but I'd say that's really the one I would probably go to if I was buying a franchise for the first time.